The son I dreamed of, when grief begins before the diagnosis. Have you ever heard of invisible grief? It's not that grief we know, the grief for someone's death. It's a different grief. It's a grief that no one sees, no one understands, no one validates. It's the grief of the atypical mother. Today we're going to talk about it. Come sit with me. Every mother's story begins before birth. It begins with discovering the pregnancy, with the first positive test, with the first ultrasound, with the first time you feel the baby move. We spend 9 months dreaming. We dream of the little face, of the baby's smell, of the first words. We dream of the first day of school, with the backpack on, with the brand new uniform. We dream of family vacations, of playing in the park, of Christmases around the tree. We build a child in our heads, an imaginary child, a child who will say, "Mommy," at the right time, who will walk at the right time, who will fall in love, graduate, get married, give us grandchildren. This child is so real inside us that we can see him. We can hear his voice. We can imagine every detail of the life we will have together. No one tells you that on the day of the diagnosis, this child dies. Not the real child. The real child is there, alive, breathing, existing. But the imaginary child, the one you built over 9 months, over years, he dies in that instant. And no one talks about this death. Before the diagnosis, the signs start appearing. He doesn't respond when you call him. You think it's stubbornness. He doesn't point at what he wants. You think it's laziness. He doesn't look you in the eyes. You think it's shyness. He gets irritated by noises. You think he's being fussy. We create explanations. We keep putting it off. Because admitting that something is different is admitting that the imaginary child might not exist. Then comes the comparison. At the playground, you see children the same age speaking in full sentences. Your child hasn't even said "mama" yet. At school, the teacher calls you in to talk. He doesn't interact. He stays isolated. He can't keep up. Each sign is a small blow to the imaginary child. Each warning is a small funeral. But we resist. We hold on. We don't want to accept it until we can't anymore. The day of the diagnosis arrives. The doctor speaks. Your child is autistic. And in that second, something dies inside you. The boy who was going to play soccer every Sunday with his father dies. The girl who was going to do ballet with her little friends dies. The teenager who was going to bring a girlfriend home dies. The adult who was going to graduate, get married, have children dies. The future you dreamed of dies. And you feel it. You feel a tightness in your chest. You feel an emptiness. You feel a pain that seems physical. It's grief. It's real grief. But when you try to talk about it, people don't understand. But he's alive, woman. You should be grateful. So many mothers have lost real children. And you swallow the tears. You swallow the pain. You swallow the grief. Because no one gives you permission to feel. No one tells you that this grief is real. That it needs to be lived. That it needs to be cried. That denying it will only make it come back stronger later. This is the invisible grief. Invisible because no one sees it. Invisible because no one authorizes it. Invisible because society has no name for it. There's no wake. There's no burial. There's no mourning period. You have to keep going. You have to be strong. You have to run after therapy. You have to schedule appointments. You have to study about autism. You have to explain it to the world. Meanwhile, inside you, the imaginary child is dead, and you can't even mourn him properly. No one tells you that you'll feel anger. anger at God, anger at life, anger at other mothers with neurotypical children, anger at the doctor who gave the news, anger at yourself for feeling anger. No one tells you that you'll feel envy. Envy of mothers who complain about simple things. My child won't eat vegetables, and you think, mine won't eat anything. My child won't do homework. And you think, mine can't even hold a pencil. Ugly envy that makes you ashamed, but real envy. No one tells you that all of this is part of grief, that anger, envy, sadness, emptiness, they are stages, and that going through them is necessary to reach the other side. Just like in traditional grief, invisible grief has stages. First comes denial. It's not that, it will pass, it's a phase. Another doctor will give another diagnosis. Then comes anger. Why me? What did I do wrong? Why did God allow this? Then comes bargaining. I promise I'll be better. I promise I'll help more. Just make him improve. Then comes depression. Deep sadness, tiredness of the soul, the desire to give up. And finally, if we let grief happen, comes acceptance. But no one tells you that these stages aren't linear. You go back and forth. One day you accept. The next, you're angry again. One day you're at peace. The next, sadness returns. And that's okay. It's part of it. The problem is when we don't allow ourselves to go through it. When we swallow the grief. When we pretend everything is fine. Then it becomes a snowball. Then it becomes real depression. Then it becomes illness. Why do we forbid ourselves from feeling this grief? Because guilt comes along with it. If you feel sadness about the diagnosis, guilt whispers, "You're an ungrateful mother. Your child is alive. There are people with worse problems." If you feel anger, guilt accuses, "Anger at your own child? What kind of mother are you?" If you feel envy, guilt crushes. Envy of other children? You're a horrible person. Guilt leaves no room for grief. It takes up all the space. And then we sweep the pain under the rug. We move forward. We do what needs to be done. But the pain doesn't disappear. It stays there, hidden, waiting. One day it explodes, and when it explodes ugly. No one tells you that feeling grief doesn't make you less of a mother. It makes you human. It makes you real. It makes you true. You can love your child unconditionally and feel sadness about the diagnosis. Both things fit in the same heart. Healing begins when we name what we feel. When we look inside and say, "I am grieving and that's okay." When we stop demanding that we be strong all the time. When we give ourselves permission to fall. When we understand that the imaginary child needs to be buried so that the real child can truly be loved. It's not betrayal. It's not lack of love. It's process. The real child is there, waiting. Waiting for you to see him, not through the lenses of grief, but through the lenses of real love. The love that sees who he is, not who you dreamed he would be. But to get there, you need to go through grief. You need to cry. You need to feel anger. You need to feel envy. You need to bargain. You need to allow yourself to be human. Next, we're going to talk about the second grief, social grief. The loss of friends, of family that doesn't understand, of social life. Because it's not just the imaginary child that dies. Many things die together. If you've already felt this grief, write here in the comments. My grief is invisible, but it's real. Let's give visibility to this pain that so many mothers carry alone. Share this with that friend who needs permission to feel. She's not alone. After the diagnosis, a strange thing starts to happen. People start disappearing. It's not an abrupt disappearance. It's not a fight. It's a silent distancing, slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you look around and realize you're alone. Longtime friends, those who were with you in every moment, start to drift away. Invitations to parties decrease. Visits to your home become rare. Messages on WhatsApp become more and more spaced out. At first, you think it's in your head, that you're too sensitive, that people are busy, but it's not. The truth is that people don't know how to deal with it. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to help. They don't know how to behave around you and your child. And it's easier to distance themselves than to face the discomfort. When friends are still around, another pain comes, the judgments. You need to set boundaries. My child was like that too. He grew out of it. Don't you think you're exaggerating with these therapies? Let him be a child. It will pass. You need to go out more, take care of yourself more, relax. These are phrases that hurt because they come from people we love. People who mean well but don't understand. They don't understand that boundaries don't solve sensory meltdowns. They don't understand that letting him be a child without intervention can mean even greater delays. They don't understand that going out to relax requires logistics that don't exist. And you try to explain, you try to teach, you try to open their eyes. But it gets tiring. It's tiring to explain. It's tiring to justify. It's tiring to hear the same cliched phrases. So you give up. You stop trying. And the silence grows. Perhaps the greatest pain comes from family. Grandparents, who should be a safe harbor, are sometimes the first to invalidate. This doesn't exist. In my time, there was no such thing as autism. It was all just upbringing. Aunts and uncles, who should support, distance themselves. They don't invite you to parties. They don't offer help. They don't ask how you are. Cousins, who could be companions for your child, don't know how to interact. And neurotypical children also distance themselves because they don't understand the different behavior. Sunday lunch, which was once a time of unity, becomes a source of anxiety. You go and spend the whole time after your child trying to avoid meltdowns, trying to explain behaviors, trying to justify his existence. No one tells you that family can be the loneliest place in the world. Over time, you start losing rituals. Movie nights with friends, dinner out with your husband, the birthday party at your cousin's house, the barbecue at the club, the family trip at the end of the year. All of this gets left behind. Not because you don't want it, but because the routine doesn't allow it. Because your child can't stand noise, because he won't accept different food, because he's afraid of new places, because you have no one to leave him with, because people don't offer to help. Every canceled event is a small death. Every refused invitation is another distancing. Every "it won't work" is a brick in the wall of loneliness, and people stop inviting because you always refuse. Because it's easier to invite those who will come. You see the photos on social media, the parties, the trips, the gatherings. Your feed is a constant reminder that you're no longer there, that you no longer belong to that world. No one tells you that you'll need to learn to deal with the feeling of being left out, that you'll see life happening out there while you're inside your home in the daily struggle. The cruelest part is that loneliness can exist even inside your own home. The husband who works outside and comes home tired. The husband who deals with the diagnosis differently, who doesn't want to talk about it, who thinks you're exaggerating. The husband who is also grieving but doesn't know how to express it. You're both in the same boat, but rowing in different directions, each dealing with pain in their own way. And the abyss grows. No one tells you that marriage will be tested, that communication will need to be more conscious, that you'll need to reconnect at a time when distance seems easier. Some marriages become stronger, others fall apart, and in all of them, loneliness makes its presence known. In the midst of so much loss, there is a fundamental loss, the loss of yourself. The woman you were before the diagnosis, the woman who had her own dreams, who had hobbies, who had time to take care of herself, who had an identity beyond autism mom. That woman also died a little. You look at old photos and don't recognize yourself. The clothes you wore, your hair done, the light smile. Today the mirror shows dark circles, hair tied up haphazardly, practical clothes. Today the smile comes with effort. No one tells you that you'll miss yourself, that there will be days when you want to find yourself again, that the longing for who you were will tighten your chest, and then guilt comes again, guilt for missing yourself, as if after the diagnosis you no longer had the right to exist, but you do exist and you matter. After going through social grief, something starts to happen. You begin to build new bonds, bonds with those who truly understand. Other atypical mothers, mothers you meet in waiting rooms, in support groups, on social media. Mothers who speak the same language, who don't need explanations, who know what a sensory meltdown is, who know what a sleepless night is, who know what fear of the future is. With them, you don't need to explain yourself. With them, you can be you. You can cry without shame. You can laugh at things only you understand. You can vent without fear of judgment. These friendships are different. They're deeper. They're more real. They didn't come to replace the old ones, but to show you that you're not alone. And slowly, you rebuild your world. A smaller world, perhaps, but a more welcoming world, more understanding, more real. In part 3, we're going to talk about the deepest grief, grief for the future, for dreams undone, and about how to rebuild possible dreams. If you've already felt this loneliness, right here. My world got smaller, but I'm not alone. Let's build this support network together. Share this with that friend who has been feeling isolated. She needs to know there's a place for her here. Grief for the future. When dreams need to be rebuilt, we talked about social grief. Now we're going to dive into one of the deepest griefs, grief for the future. For all the dreams that seemed certain and suddenly collapsed. But we're also going to talk about how to rebuild. Before the diagnosis, we had a movie in our heads. We saw the future in color. The first day of school, with him running into the classroom. Birthday parties with little friends. Beach vacations, jumping waves, the first romance, graduation, marriage, grandchildren. It was such a real movie that we could feel the emotion of each scene. After the diagnosis, the movie ends. The screen goes black. Because in our heads, autism was a door that closed. It was the impossibility of all that. It was a gray, uncertain, frightening future. No one tells you that this movie needs to be replaced, that you'll need to learn to write a new script. A different script, but one that can also be beautiful. But first, you need to mourn the movie that died. Over time, you discover that grief for the future doesn't happen just once. It returns. When your child turns 2 and doesn't speak, you mourn the future where he would ask for birthday presents. When he turns 4 and isn't potty trained, you mourn the future where he would go to school without diapers. When he turns 7 and isn't literate, you mourn the future where he would read stories alone. When he turns 10 and has no friends, you mourn the future of sleepover parties. Every age that arrives without the expected achievements is a new grief, a new death, a new pain. No one tells you that grief has no expiration date, that it will return in waves, that you'll need to learn to surf these waves without drowning. What fuels this grief is comparison. You look at other children, cousins, neighbors, children of friends, all of them following the expected development, all of them reaching milestones at the right time, and you ask yourself, why not him? Why me? Comparison is a knife. It cuts deep. It prevents you from seeing your child as he is. It traps you in the child you wanted him to be. No one tells you that comparison is the enemy of peace, that while you're looking at the neighbor's garden, you won't be able to tend to your own. Your child has his own time, his own path, his own achievements. They are different, but they are real. They are his. And when you stop comparing, you begin to see. When you stop looking at what he doesn't have, you start seeing what he does have. He may not speak, but he communicates with his eyes. He may not run, but he has incredible balance on the swing. He may not have friends, but he has a sensitivity to music that moves you. He may not be what the world expects, but he is unique. He is special. He is yours. No one tells you that your child's achievements will be invisible to most people. But for you, they will be gigantic. The day he pointed for the first time, the day he ate a new food, the day he slept through the night, the day he looked into your eyes and smiled. Each achievement is an Olympic gold. Each achievement is proof that he is evolving in his own way, in his own time. And you learn to celebrate quietly, without a party, without an audience, but with a heart overflowing. There comes a moment when you need to sit down and rebuild, to take the pieces of the future that collapsed and start building a new one. Not like the old one, different, but possible. You look at your child and ask, who are you? What do you like? What makes you happy? What is your way of being? And he answers, not with words perhaps, but with gestures, with preferences, with passions. Does he love music? Then maybe his future is in music. Does he love numbers? Then maybe it's in math. Does he love drawing? Then maybe it's in art. Does he love routine? Then maybe it's in jobs that require organization. The future isn't over. It just changed shape. No one tells you that you'll need to learn to dream again, that dreams will be different, but can be just as beautiful as the old ones, that your child may not be what you imagined, but can be something incredible you never imagined. Over time, you start to see possibilities. You meet autistic adults, fulfilled, happy people, with jobs, with families, with their own lives. You discover that the spectrum is wide, that everyone has their place, that the future isn't a sentence, it's a construction. You learn that your role isn't to decide your child's future. It's to give him tools so that he can build his own future. It's to support, encourage, believe. It's to be by his side, not in front. And slowly, anguish gives way to hope, a different hope, more real, more grounded, but hope. Because you begin to see your child he can learn, he can evolve, he can be happy, he can have a good life, in his own way. I want to read a letter I wrote to my son's future. My love, I don't know what your future will be like. I don't know if you will speak, if you will work, if you will marry. I don't know what challenges we will still face. But there are things I do know. I know you are strong, stronger than you imagine. You face a world that wasn't made for you every day, and still you keep going. I know you are sensitive. You feel things that no one else feels. You see beauty where no one else sees it. You have a rich and deep inner world. I know you are brave. You face fears that no one else faces. You overcome limits every day, and I know you are loved. Loved the way you are, without conditions, without demands, loved because you exist. The future is a road that we will build together, step by step, day by day. I don't know where it will lead, but I know we will walk side by side, and that's what matters. If you're in this rebuilding phase, I want to tell you, take it slow. Rebuilding dreams takes time. It hurts, it demands tears, but it's possible. One day at a time, one achievement at a time, one new dream at a time. Look at your child. Look at yourself. Look at everything that has already been overcome. There's so much you've already conquered together. The future isn't written yet. And you have a pen in your hands. Shall we talk about overcoming? About how to transform grief into love, about how to find peace in the midst of the storm, about how to be happy despite everything? If you're rebuilding dreams, right here. My dreams are new, but they're mine. Let's fill this space with hope and new beginnings. Share this with someone who needs to remember that the future can still be beautiful. Overcoming. When grief transforms into love. We've reached the last part about invisible grief. There were 3 parts of pain: recognition, tears. Now we're going to talk about overcoming, about what comes after grief, about how to transform all this pain into love. First of all, I need to tell you something important. Overcoming doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean the pain is completely gone. It doesn't mean you won't have difficult days anymore. It doesn't mean grief won't return every now and then. Overcoming means learning to live with it. It means that the pain no longer takes up all the space. It means that now there's room for other things, for joy, for hope, for love. The process isn't linear. You'll have days of relapse. Days when grief returns with force, days when you cry for the imaginary child again, days when anger appears without warning. And that's okay, it's part of it. The difference is that now you know these days pass, that after the storm, the sun returns. The big turning point happens when you finally meet your real child. Not the imaginary child, not the child you dreamed of, but the child who is there, in front of you, every day. When you stop trying to fit him into molds that don't work, when you stop comparing him to other children, when you finally see him, and then you discover he is incredible. He has a unique sense of humor. He has deep interests. He has an incredible memory for details. He has a sensitivity that moves you. He has a special way of seeing the world. You start paying attention to the small things, to the gestures, to the looks, to the daily achievements, and you fall in love, not despite the autism, with the autism, because autism is part of him, and he is perfect exactly as he is. When you meet your real child, something changes. Gratitude starts to appear, gratitude for every small step forward. Gratitude for every moment of connection. Gratitude for every unexpected hug. You start giving thanks for what he teaches you, for the patience you developed, for the strength you discovered, for the sensitivity that emerged. You start seeing autism not as a tragedy, but as a different perspective on life, an invitation to slow down, an invitation to see what no one else sees. an invitation to love in a purer way. No one tells you that gratitude will come, that one day you'll look back and thank you for the journey, for the tears that made you strong, for the falls that taught you to get up, for the difficulties that brought you closer to your child. Gratitude arrives in its own time, but it arrives. After finding your real child, you start to find yourself too. The woman who was lost in the midst of grief begins to reappear, not the same as before, a new version, stronger, wiser, deeper. You discover that you can have hobbies, yes. You can have time for yourself, yes. You can take care of yourself, yes. Not the way it was before, but in a new way. You learn to balance, to be an atypical mother and a woman, to care for him and care for yourself, to love unconditionally without annulling yourself. You rediscover old dreams and create new ones. You start to exist beyond the diagnosis, and this rediscovery is beautiful. It's a rebirth. Looking back, you see the path traveled. Remember the woman who left that office, unable to hold back tears? Remember the woman who spent sleepless nights searching on Google? Remember the woman who sat on the bathroom floor and wanted to give up? That woman is here, standing, stronger than ever. You discovered a strength you never imagined having. Strength to fight for rights. Strength to face doctors, schools, insurance companies. Strength to provide comfort during meltdowns. Strength to keep going when everything seemed to fall apart. This strength didn't come from nowhere. It came from love for your child, from love for yourself, from love for life. And now you know, you can do so much more than you imagine. Happiness, once associated with big achievements, now has new meaning. Happiness is seeing him sleep peacefully. Happiness is hearing a new word. Happiness is a day without a meltdown. Happiness is a hug given spontaneously. Happiness is the silence after the storm. You learn to be happy with little. And because of that, you are happy, often, because the small things happen every day. His smile when he wakes up, the little hand reaching out, asking to be held, the look that meets yours, the joyful laugh at some silly thing. Your happiness no longer depends on big events. It lives in the small victories, and there are many of them. If there's one message I want to leave you with, it's this. Invisible grief exists. It is real, it hurts, it needs to be lived, but it's not the end. After grief comes the encounter with your real child, the encounter with yourself, the encounter with a new way of living, of loving, of being happy. Your child is not a tragedy, your child is a gift wrapped in a different way that requires patience to open, but that holds something precious inside. You are not pitiful. You are a warrior. You carry a weight that many wouldn't carry. And you keep going every day with love, with faith, with hope. Grief doesn't have to be your eternal companion. It can become longing. It can become learning. It can become strength. Audio 16. And love remains. Love wins. Love transforms. To close, I want to read a letter from a mother who reached the other side. Dear past me, if I could go back in time and find you in that office, I would hug you tight. I would let you cry. I wouldn't say it will be okay, because you wouldn't believe it. But I would tell you one thing, you will make it. You will spend sleepless nights, but you will learn to find peace in the silence. You will face meltdowns, but you will discover a patience you didn't know you had. You will lose friends, but you will find a sisterhood worth more than anything. You will look at your child, and one day you will see beyond the diagnosis. You will see the incredible person he is. You will see how much he teaches you. You will see pure, true, unconditional love. You will rediscover yourself, stronger, wiser, more sensitive. You will learn to be happy with small things. You will discover that life can be beautiful, even if it's different from what you dreamed. So hold on tight, cry when you need to, fall when it's inevitable, but get up, always get up. Because on the other side of grief, there's a love you can't even imagine, and it's worth the entire journey. We've reached the end of this journey together. There were 4 parts talking about invisible grief, about the pain that no one sees, about the silence that no one hears, but also about overcoming, about strength, about love. If you're at the beginning of grief, know this: you will get through it. It will hurt, but you will get through it. If you're in the middle of the path, sometimes advancing, sometimes retreating, know this: it's normal. The process isn't linear. Audio 17. If you've already reached the other side, know this: you are an inspiration. Use your story to help those who are just beginning. We, atypical mothers, are a sisterhood. We understand each other with a look. We support each other in silence. We rise together. Thank you for walking with me this far. A huge kiss on the heart. And never forget, your grief is invisible, but you are not. Now I want to hear from you. In the comments, write the phrase that represents your journey. My grief strengthened me, or I'm an atypical mother and I'm in reconstruction, or simply, I don't give up. Let's fill this space with stories, with strength, with support. Share this series with every mother you know. Someone needs to hear these words today. Spread this chain of love and hope. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell. There's much more content full of truth and support coming your way. I won't give up on you, and you won't give up on your child. Deal until the next story. A kiss on the heart.